to have him. I think we can say an intellectual, a thinker, an activist, someone who has fought for 50 years? Yeah. Approximately 50 years for Irish independence. Tony's voice and ideas are known and respected, not just in Ireland, but across Europe. So, I give you Professor Andy Coughlin. Thank you.
Vi nu ikke til Aarhus morgen vel så nu kind an talk show an all kind talk show. I'm very honored to have the opportunity of speaking here today. The great French President Charles de Gaulle once said, Europe is a union of Europe is made up of the nations and the states, or it is nothing. The European Union has attempted to abolish the democracy of the nation states of Europe and to establish a superpower, a kind of United States of Europe under German, French hegemony and control. It has set out to hollow out the nation states of Europe, to take away people's national democracy and independence in the interest of this fantastic reactionary and anti-democratic project. And the people here who have come this morning are obviously concerned about that, and concerned that we go deeper into it, and concerned that we would not take the opportunity, now that the people of the United Kingdom are leaving the EU, including 1.8 million of our fellow countrymen and women in the north of Ireland, that we should be so foolish as to stay in this reactionary setup and go deeper and deeper in, which is what the French and Germans are planning. I've been concerned all my adult life with the EU. I've been opposed to it on democratic and internationalist grounds. A democratic one means that people should have the right to make their own laws through people they elect. That is no longer the case of the European Union, where, as you know, vast numbers of laws, mainly in the economic area, some social laws, come from Brussels. The EU itself is estimating there are around over 100,000 legal acts, directives, regulations, decisions, judgments of the European Court of Justice, and international conventions and standards which the EU subscribes to, and which are binding in supranational law on us. And if we defy or break any one of these, we're subject to fines. The EU is taking away from us our currency. As Prodi, former Commission President, said, the two pillars of the nation state are the sword of the currency, and we have changed that. They've got the currency. It's vitally important that we have a currency of our own to enhance our economic competitiveness, as clearly seen by the problems of immigration in the north and the north-south trade at the present time. When we had a currency of our own, following independent policy in the period 1994-2000, they gave us the Celtic Tiger, 7 or 8% growth rates each year. So they've taken the currency and they're heading towards getting the sword, a European army, and this PESCO outrage, which we signed up to in January, is a big step in the direction of a European army, which the French and Germans and others want to establish in due course, and will leave our tattered neutrality blowing in the wind. There's a democratic reaction against this assault on democracy all over Europe at the present time. The people of the United Kingdom, the majority, 17 million voters or so, have said we want to leave it. We don't want to go into this federal superstate run by a narrow group of committees and dominated by the Germans and the French. Nigel Farage has been a hero of British democracy and is admired all over Europe for his stand for democracy generally. In my opinion, the EU is fundamentally a doomed entity, because you can't take things away from people, their national democracy, their national independence, without them reacting against it. Whether it's on the left or right is largely immaterial. People on the left want independence to have left-wing measures, people on the right want independence to have right-wing measures, but unless you've got an independent state in the first place, able to pass its own laws, you can get neither. So in effect, the national question, the question of national independence, transcends the usual differences between left and right and gives rise to popular movements against the EU scheme or EU project and to the established national democracy and independence in the various countries of Europe. And that is now happening. It is important that it happen here. It would be utter folly, in my opinion, for the Irish state to remain in the European Union and go deeper into it when the British leave. I believe the British will leave. At the present time, the Irish establishment is in consternation over this development. They are so unified, and they hope the whole thing can be stopped or aborted. I don't believe it can be. It may be a complex process, but the United Kingdom is going to leave the EU, including 1.8 million of our fellow countrymen and women. It is folly for us to stay in it in those circumstances. At present, Irish people don't know, nobody is quite sure yet what exactly Brexit is going to amount to. We don't know the character of the eventual EU-UK deal. It's only when that happens, probably within the coming year, that Irish public opinion will sit up and begin to realise the folly of us staying in the EU when the United Kingdom leaves. At present, people just waiting to see how it all turns out. I've not the least doubt that over the coming year, significant sections of Irish public opinion, agriculturalists, trade unionists, workers, housewives, and then some politicians will raise the issue of us leaving the EU also and not facilitating another partition of Ireland, which of course will be involved if we stay in the EU and the United Kingdom leaves it, adding all sorts of new dimensions to the north-south border. This little booklet, which contains the proceedings of a study group that some colleagues of mine brought together, various economists and lawyers, sets out the arguments for that position. There are no good arguments, in my opinion, for staying in the EU if the United Kingdom leaves. And I would suggest that maybe people here could use this to take this away with them and perhaps form local study groups and discuss it with your neighbours and friends and help to build up a movement to demand that we no longer identify with TEU, but that our government should identify with Ireland, with Irish independence and with Irish national democracy. Just a few concluding remarks. The EU is essentially an institutional monstrosity that robs the peoples of Europe of their national democracy and national independence in the interest of powerful political, economic and bureaucratic elites that operate at supranational level but have their political acolytes and media groupies in every EU state. And we've got plenty of them here. The fundamental ideological thrust of the EU, in my opinion,